All right, joining us now from Florida is our media go-to guy, Bernie Goldberg, who is the purveyor of bernardgoldberg.com, which has a sensational special we'll tell you about at the end of the interview. So you go there and absorb Bernie's wisdom, okay? Now, Bernie has so much wisdom that you have to absorb it kind of gradually, or you'll be overwhelmed by the wisdom. All right, where am I going wrong here, Goldberg?
And I want to make a comment about your rarely happening wisdom. That's a joke. You nailed it, how they portray negative news. They bring people on who say all these negative things, and then they say, well, it's not us.
Right.
It's just the people who are bringing on.
Yeah,
Anyway, I wrote a column on the website that you mentioned, bernardgoldberg.com. This is what I said. If Democrats were ventriloquists, journalists would be the little dummies sitting on their laps. So if Democrats are against the war, and they are, liberal journalists will also be against the war. Now, you and I, Bill, come from a hard news background, so I know you'll agree with this. Journalists should not be cheerleaders for this or any other war. They should ask hard questions. They should be skeptical of what the government tells them. But they've crossed a very bright line with their partisanship. Give me just 30 seconds to read a very brief passage from an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, not by a MAGA Republican wearing a red hat, but by Mark Penn, who was an advisor to Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Andrew Stein, who was the former New York City Council president, obviously a Democrat. Very short passage. Journalists have a right and a duty to report bad news and to question Pollyanna-ish reports from the US government. But many seem to be going beyond that and rooting for America to fail. Let that sink in. Very short ending. What seems to be driving the coverage is repertorial partisanship and the Democrats' determination to oppose this president no matter what he does. Bingo, that's what it's all about. Democrats want to oppose him no matter what he does, so their media allies do the same thing.
And I think you got to give the New York Times credit for running that op-ed, but it's outnumbered.
Wall Street Journal.
It was the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, I read the op-ed. I just didn't remember the source of it. Okay, and all of that is true across the board. But here's the real frightening part, because I did use that word in introducing the CBS poll, that a lot of Americans, maybe most of us, don't pay attention. They don't know really what's happening. They just hear things. And when the media is overwhelmingly against a president, they're going to just hear things that aren't true, that are slanted, whatever it may be, and then make their opinion based on the things they are hearing. I'm seeing more and more of that. How about you?
No, I think you're right. You're on a roll today, Bill. I think you're right about that, too. Let's use this as an example. Liberal Democrats and their allies in the media are trashing Donald Trump. This is one of their big reasons for their opposition to the war, because there was no imminent threat, they say. But for argument's sake, and only for argument's sake, let's say they're right. There was no imminent threat. Would it be better if he had waited until there was an imminent threat? Because if he waited until there was an imminent threat, Iran may have had a nuclear bomb, and they could have hit London, Paris, Berlin, Tel Aviv, even New York or Washington, possibly. So, you know what would happen then, Bill? The same media that is trashing Donald Trump for going to war when there was no imminent threat would be trashing him because he waited too long before there was an imminent threat. So heads, they win. Tails, he loses. The system is rigged.
Now, interesting you brought that up because right after you, I'm going to run a clip of Lindsey Graham where I did an interview on our new long form, which did discuss in very micro detail the imminent threat. Okay. So you have a basically dishonest media here. I don't think there's any question fair-minded people understand that. Do you believe the actual people running these companies, making the calls, are dishonest?
I think they're acting like business people and not news people. I think they know who their audience is and they say we're going to give them
But
what
isn't
they
that
want.
dishonesty, though? Because they're supposed to be
Absolutely.
presenting
Absolutely.
objective news.
Yeah, that's right, Bill. And I'm going to break some bad news to you. There's no tooth fairy and there's no Santa Claus and there's no Easter bunny either. It's, of course, they're dishonest. They're doing this for business. They don't call it the news business for nothing. It's a business, and they should be reporting the truth without partisanship. But they're desperately trying to stay in business in this new media landscape by telling the audience precisely what they think the audience wants to hear.
Do you believe
that's corrupt, by the way?
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. Do you believe that the corruption that began in 2016 when Trump came on the stage and started to succeed has destroyed the television news industry in particular, or it was inevitable with social media and all? It was inevitable they were going to decline. But
it might have been inevitable, but they're getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, if Joe Biden or Barack Obama had launched this war, do you think the coverage would be the same?
Of course not. And the infantile questions, how long is the war going to? Do you get as angry as I do? I'm sitting there. How long is it? Well, how would anybody know that?
No, that you're absolutely. I don't know what you've been drinking, but you're absolutely right about that too. Here's the thing: if this same journalistic bunch were covering D-Day on January 6, 1944, when 2,500 Americans and 4,400 Allied troops were killed in one day, they would be calling for the impeachment of Franklin Roosevelt, and they would try to get Dwight Eisenhower thrown into prison. I mean, you can't count any American death in uniform, any American in uniform who dies. It's a tragedy, not just for their families, but for all of us. But they count every single one as if you see what's happening and this war is not going to go on. It's not going to end tomorrow. When is it going to end? These are questions without answers, and they know what they're doing, and they're doing it to turn their audience, to appeal to their audience who already doesn't like it because of what their audience is hearing from other news people. It's a vicious circle.
Yeah, but with one goal: get Trump.
That's the beginning, the middle, and the end.
All right, tell me about BernardGoldberg.com March Madness Special. What do you got going?
I want to say two things. First of all, it's a half price sale off of already very low prices. But here's the thing, Bill. We're a small website and we're trying to stay relevant. And your audience, the people I'm talking to now, and thank you for letting me do it, are important to our survival, to be perfectly honest about it. We need your audience. We like your audience, and we appreciate you for letting me say these things to your audience.
Now you have a half price going forward, and it's a pittance. and I'm saying that not in a derogatory way, but
I know.
if you want to add to your frame of reference, which really is what this is all about. I mean, when you have a colossus corporate media that's being blatantly dishonest across the board, and you can't discount the right-wing networks either, because they're feeding the same kind of
absolutely
quote unquote information, but it's tailored to people who want to believe a certain thing. So the only hope is us. We're the only hope.
That's what I was about to say. If somebody wants their views given back to them 100% of the time, don't waste your time coming over to bernardgoldberg.com. I can't do that. Bill and I have been hard news reporters for many years. That's our foundation. That's our basis. We give opinions, but they're based on fairness. At least I hope they are. In my case, they are, and in Bill's case, they are. And you'll agree with us a lot of times. You won't agree with us, or you won't agree with me all of the time. That's the way I do it. I try to give you my honest opinion, but it's only an opinion.
But that's healthy. And that's what the founding fathers wanted, that kind of vibrant, robust debate with no personal animus or greedy money factor in it.
And let me say this to your audience. You know how Bill knows that? Thomas Jefferson told him that personally.
That's right. I was there. Goldberg, look, you're older than me. And based upon this shot that's going all over the world now, people can see that with their own eyes. All right, bernardgoldberg.com. March Madness. Check it out. Appreciate it, Bernie.
Thank you, Bill. I need your help.